Good morning, this is Kelly Land on the go with all you need to know in news and weather as you start your day.
Fire crews in Meade County responded to an overnight structure fire in Somerset.
The Black Hawk Volunteer Fire Department says firefighters arrived to find a single-story home on fire with flames spreading into the roof and nearby trees and homes. Crews were able to quickly contain the fire.
4 people were inside the home at the time of the fire. 3 were treated on scene. 1 was taken to the hospital.
A neighbor was also treated for minor injuries, and 2 pets were lost in the fire.
We have a better picture of the scene where 14-year-old McKenna Wendell's body was found.
Brookings County State's Attorney Dan Nelson says the girl was discovered south of this bridge in rural Brookings County. And now flowers and a cross engraved with the initials MW can be found at that bridge.
Nelson tells us he's grateful Wendell's family has closure that she was found.
You're not always able to recover the body, but I'm thankful that we were able to do that in this case.
There are no announced suspects in Wendell's case. Sioux Falls police say the case's circumstances are suspicious.
A Pine Ridge woman is headed to federal prison on drug and firearm charges.
33-year-old Bessie Rose Brewer was sentenced March 9th to just over 4 years behind bars for conspiracy to distribute a controlled substance and illegally possessing a firearm. Authorities say Brewer was pulled over during a traffic stop in January of 2025, where officers found a pistol and a small amount of cocaine.
Further investigation revealed she was selling cocaine on the Pine Ridge Reservation. Brewer is now in the custody of U.S. Marshals.
A woman recently lost thousands of dollars in a scam involving jury duty.
She says she ignored some warning signs like urgency, keeping her on the phone, and using Bitcoin, all things that the Better Business Bureau says are common tactics by scammers.
It has become more and more common, and we see it happen not just in South Dakota, but in our surrounding states. We've had many reports in Nebraska. This particular victim lives in Minnesota.
Schmidt says if you think you may be the victim of a scam, you should report it to the appropriate authorities.
Now let's get a check of our weather with meteorologist Scott Munn. Good morning, Scott.
Good morning, Travis. Good morning, everybody. We are looking at a warm day. In fact, it may be record-setting for some of us. Temperatures will reach the 70s and 80s. This happens with mostly sunny to partly cloudy skies, though I should mention maybe parts of northeastern South Dakota may have some thicker cloud cover. But things do come crashing down for tomorrow as the front moves through. We'll have strong north winds, and that will help bring in much cooler air. And Brian will have more details on your forecast coming up.
The Douglas School District in Box Elder has been preparing for an increase in students in the coming years as nearby Ellsworth Air Force Base prepares for the arrival of the B-21 bomber.
The school district announced the addition of a new elementary school thanks to support from federal funding.
The demographics say we're going to need a new elementary school, so that's really the gist of it. The other piece is we're anticipated to grow by 100 kids a year as a result of the base for the next 15 years. So really going to see large, unprecedented growth for our district.
This expansion project is expected to take around 2 years once the federal funding for the school is released.
The first of the bombers is expected to arrive in 2027.
A new business in T is allowing homeowners, architects, and contractors to get a full picture of their projects before construction even begins.
Walk Your Plans projects floor plans and blueprints into a warehouse space to give clients the chance to actually walk through the plans and make changes.
Most people have trouble understanding what a 10 by 10 is, or the closet size, or the kitchen and how things interact. But we also really focus on flow too. Like, is this really does this make sense for you? Let's walk through it. Let's start at the front door and make sure it all makes sense.
Walk Your Plans is a national company that started 3 years ago in Ohio. Alex Dre opened up the Sioux Falls location about 4 weeks ago.
We've spent the last few weeks introducing you to 2 remarkable women winners and 2 of our nominees. But the last nominee we want to share is Jenny Winslow.
Winslow co-founded Fun and Friends, a nonprofit that provides a social group for kids with disabilities. Winslow's inspiration behind it was her 4-year-old daughter who has Down syndrome.
Fun and Friends, we just got started planning events to kind of fill that void for parents to network naturally and casually, and it's just grown from there.
Winslow says what she finds most rewarding is building a sense of community among the people who attend Fun and Friends events.
That is a look at some of our top stories today.
Now let's get a check of your weather again with meteorologist Brian Karstens. Brian?
All right, tracking that fire danger today. Red flag warnings in effect for southwest South Dakota, so be mindful of that. Very high potential there. Obviously, extreme caution is advised as we got to get through another warm afternoon and those dry conditions. Tomorrow will change. We'll have much cooler weather in the forecast. We also need to monitor, of course, winds. Now, here's a look at today's wind, and that those numbers do go up in the middle of the Black Hills, don't they? So just kind of remembering that here as we go through the afternoon. The vast majority, though, of the plains of South Dakota, actually not all that strong today. Under 20 miles an hour looks to be pretty common, but that will change with the arrival of this Canadian cold front. Your winds by 8 in the morning tomorrow. Now look at Winter and Chamberlain. You got a north wind at gusting close to 20, and that arrival of colder air is going to put a lot of pressure on temperatures tomorrow. Now, I do still think the southeast corner will probably end up at least in the upper 50s to near 60 for a short while. But once we get into the afternoon, everything just seems to be falling and maybe best case scenario holding steady. Look at your new batch of wind too coming into the northwest. So that's going to reinforce the cooling as we get into Friday. And Friday right now looks below average, actually. So let's march through some temperature trends. We've got some of these 80s along I-90 and south. That's in the forecast. I think Aberdeen could hit as high as 73. It'll be close. And then later tonight and tomorrow morning, radar begins to fill in. There could be a little light rain or, yes, snow. The chance of snow tomorrow in Aberdeen and Mobridge is going up. Now, we're not talking anything major here, but just the fact that it can snow the day after it's in the 70s, I think that's maybe the story here. And I will caution you, these hourly numbers we're getting out of Mobridge and Aberdeen, Scott and I feel like we've got to cut these. We're going to probably be stuck in the 30s all afternoon in northern South Dakota. The temperature sandwich gets more tricky towards Sioux Falls. We hit probably 58 and then fall in the afternoon. And it's going to be pretty chilly once we get to Friday morning. We're going to have a lot of teens, low 20s, and Friday, again, just a cooler day. There is a good amount of sunshine forecast, but highs will be in the 40s for many of us from Sioux Falls north. If you're West River, you'll be a little warmer. Now, the weekend's going to turn around. We're going to go back to 60-degree levels on Saturday for many. And on Sunday, here come the 70s again. It is that time of year, isn't it, folks? And look at your 7-day forecast. We've got those peaks and valleys. I know it looks warm into early next week, but there's something going on after day 7 you're really going to want to know about because we're seeing the pattern changing. And if you're curious about that, make sure you watch Whether or Not. That's going to be on at 9:30 on KELOLAND Plus. Of course, it's online too, KELOLAND.com. A lot of ways you can get that program, and it'll re-air this afternoon, and always on demand. But we'll explain more about that a little later today, so make sure you stay tuned for that. Aberdeen for the weekend. We're off to a cooler start on Friday, but the weekend does warm up, and we anticipate that will be a trend all the way to the Black Hills. In fact, look at your 7-day in Rapid City. We're going to go back to 75 on Sunday, upper 70s on Monday. Check out more coverage online at KELOLAND.com.